Hey y'all, and welcome back. I really don't know which direction this devotion is going to take today because I have woke up with such a heavy heart. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why I'm feeling this way. I've tried to kind of do some stuff around the house just to see if it's maybe, I didn't rest well last night. It was a restless night. So I don't know if I was like, is that what's, all this is about? I cannot tell you like one particular thing is on my mind. James and I hadn't had a fight. Everything's fine. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But there's just a heaviness just consuming me right now, and I don't know what it is. I did receive great news yesterday. A friend of mine, who she and I have just become, so close, and we pray for each other, and just, she's just such a godsend. She had messaged me a few weeks ago to pray for, a special request that she has. She told me what it was. I'm not going to share what it is here, but it was concerning a family member of hers, and I began praying for that person. I was out thrifting actually when she had texted me, and I began praying for that person, and I had such a peace come over me about that person. And I actually picked my phone up to text her to tell her, it's not going to be what they say. But I was like, I never want to say anything without knowing 100% it's truly from God. And sometimes we can love somebody so much that we feel a certain way, and we just like say, oh, God said it's going to be okay, and this and that. And so I didn't. I actually ended up erasing the text message, and I just had a peace, And she messaged me yesterday and let me know the good news. And it was, of course, nothing that the doctors thought it was going to be, which I was just surprised, but not surprised, you know what I mean? So I've received great news, and that's wonderful. I'm so thankful that God moved and answered our prayers in that situation. And there's so many of y'all that have reached out and need prayer, and I pray for y'all. I take it to the Lord, and I just don't understand what this heaviness is, what this, I don't know. And I was just talking to the Lord as I was getting dressed this morning. I almost didn't get dressed this morning because I was just like, and I almost made a post that, there was not going to be a devotion today, or a video on my other channel, because I was just not in the headspace, just everything I'm feeling. But as I said, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and get ready. And I sat in there, and I was, I finished watching The Chosen, which is amazing. I finished season 3. And that when you're all up in when you're feeling this way anyway, and then you watch that, it's just like a double whammy. And I'm like, why am I doing this? And I'm trying to put makeup on, because I'm going to be scalding my eyes out. So that went off, and I put something else on, and I couldn't get into that. And it's almost like I can't focus because I don't know what it is I'm supposed to focus on. I cannot focus on any one thing. I can't just, have a task and focus on that and do it. It's the weirdest feeling, and I don't understand what it is. But all I can say is I have a heaviness. I have a heaviness, and I could use your prayers. That's what this channel is about. We lift each other up and pray. And I was asking God, I said, what is this, Lord? What is this? What am I feeling? Is there a certain person I'm supposed to pray for? Is there a certain situation you want me to do some focused prayer and I'm praying on? What is this I'm feeling? I don't know. He hasn't told me yet. And then I know I've got to come in here. Let me rephrase that. I don't got to, okay? I get to come in here and to do these devotions, and they have been such a help to me. But then I'm questioning, why me, Lord? Why'd you pick me for this? You know, I mean, there's so many more qualified people than me. And then I really feel less than qualified when I'm feeling like I'm feeling today. So I don't know where this devotion is going to go. I'm going to pick up this little book, and I'm going to try to do what the Lord wants me to do. I told him, I said, you're just going to have to be in there with me. You're just going to have to help me because I can't do this. And I think that's key, is knowing that we will never, ever. It doesn't matter if you're having the best day that you've had in a very long time or ever. You're still never going to be able to do it all on your own. It's not going to be able to. It is going to require prayer. It is going to require him being Lord of your life and him being in control. And I know there are some people out there that struggle with giving up control, that you have to be in control of everything. I understand that. But when you're in this relationship with God, that part of you has to take a back burner, and you have to just submit and give all of your will and control over to him and just let him have it. Because I promise you, if you try to keep control and be in relationship with him, it's like oil and water. It just don't mix. It just don't mix. I was going to say it don't mix well, but it really just don't mix, you know. So that little bit, I don't even know where that come from, but there you go. So if you have this little book, we're going to be reading from my little book. I've got to talk to somebody, God, by Marjorie Holmes. It's her prayers to God about every aspect of her life. Really, this book has gone through everything. So much of it we've already covered, and there's still a few things left in here to read. So let's just see where the Lord leads us. I have no idea. Like I said, so many of these we've already read. But it is amazing to me how God has used this little book to use everyday situations that so many of us can relate to. And he has used this to minister to our spirit, to our soul. Y'all, all these we've read. Okay. If you have this little book, we're going to be reading from page 95 and part of page 96, not much. It's under the grouping The Mavericks, and the title of it is The Mavericks. So, here we go. Lord, some people seem to graze like sheep in the placid pastures of their faith. Some of them were born there and never broke away from your fold. Others, after some wandering, found shelter there and are quite content. They look with a bland mystification upon the Mavericks. They don't quarrel and question and rebel. They don't fight with you, God. They don't despair. They follow you, their shepherd, with a blind, abiding trust. They eat the sweet grasses beneath their feet. They drink the cool waters, and at night they lie down safely in the fold. Did you choose them, Lord? In fashioning their natures, did you separate these placid and trusting ones from the goats? I envy them, their gentle spirit, Lord. I envy them, the peaceful path they follow across the meadows of their faith. I don't want to stray. I don't want dogs and devils nipping at my heels. Yet I wonder sometimes if you didn't deliberately make some of us so, if only to keep things from being too easy for yourself. Is it just possible that you have a few mavericks, that you like to have a few mavericks that have to be chased and herded back? Wow. Well, I know some in my life that were born into their relationship with the Lord, and it's just always been that way. I've spoke about Cody, my son. He was born to serve the Lord. He was born to be a minister. He was born to worship God. I mean, I know we all were, but since conception, he's just been, I use the word different because I don't know another word to use, but he has just always been different. And I've talked about it in the past. And he got his call at a very young age. God has always dealt with him. Even as a child, you could have conversations with him and it would blow your mind what would be coming out of this child's mouth, because it had to be God, because there's no way a child could speak such things, you know. There was many times that God used Cody to minister to me. I would find myself, I would go to him and I would just talk to him, and I would tell him things that was bothering me and concerning me on his age level. Okay, I would never get into detail that was above his age or what he could comprehend. But God would use that child to minister and to help me. And, you know, he got his call to be a preacher. He's a mighty, mighty man of God. He has never, I know people are going to, some people that hear this that don't understand will say, I am a naive mother, that he has fooled me, that there's no way. But when I tell you, he has never done anything to go against the Lord in any way. He was never a child that partied. He never lied. He wasn't a liar. He has never been he's never had a taste of alcohol in his life. He's never smoked. He's never done any kind of tobacco products. He's never been one to slip off and cuss with his friends and then go to church. He's just never been that way. He's just always been so special and different. And this reminds me of some of them were born there and never broke away. Others, after some wandering, found shelter there, and that would be me. Or no, I would probably be the Mavericks that he's had to chase me, because there's been so many times in my life that he would just have to chase me because I would not willingly come. He would have to chase me and herd me up. But Cody has just always been that type, that he was just born there and he never broke away from the fold. And he's never really quarreled or questioned God. He's never really fought with God, to my knowledge. Now, I don't know what's happened between him and God in private, but to my knowledge, he's always followed the shepherd with a blind, abiding trust. When I read this, that's Cody comes to mind. And I'm not trying to make my child seem on a level of perfection, because he's not. He's a human being. And, you know, he gets an attitude from time to time, just like any of us do. You know, he's not perfect. None of us are. But in this sense of reading what she's talking about, this is just what my mind goes to. Did you choose them, Lord? I believe he did. I believe that there's some that he just chooses. I believe we all have a work to do for the kingdom, okay? But I believe there are certain people that God just absolutely chooses, such as David, the shepherd boy. He chose him to be king. You know, Abraham, Isaac, you know, Jacob, Mary. He chose Mary to be the one to carry Jesus. He chose Joseph to be the one to be his earthly father. You know, I do believe there are people who are born that he chose. I do believe that. But that does not mean that we all don't have a place. I in no way feel that just because I was not chosen to be born at a time to be the pick to give birth to Jesus, that makes me less of anything. I don't believe that. I think we all all can be used for his good and his glory and for the kingdom. Some of us he has to chase and herd back. That'd be me. Some are just born into it, and that's just all they know and live and breathe and eat, and that's fine too. And then there's some that you're born into it. You're raised a certain way your whole entire life. You're raised to believe a certain thing your whole entire life. And then as you grow up and you become your own person and you have your own thoughts, then you start to question why is it that way? And it's not that you're questioning God, but you're questioning your purpose and your reason and what he wants for you. And you're questioning why things are done some of the ways they are. It's not out of disrespect. You know, some people have a lot of opinions about questioning God. My opinion, and this is strictly my opinion, okay? I can only speak for myself. I personally do not feel that God minds us asking questions. I just don't feel that he does. When Jesus walked the earth and he had his disciples and they witnessed and were in the midst of everything that they witnessed, even they had questions. But that's how they learned. And that's how he was able to then send them out to teach others. I believe that it is okay to have questions. Now, that does not mean he's always going to answer them, but I do believe it is quite okay. This is just my personal belief, my thing, my conviction. You may have a totally different conviction, and that's fine. You know, we're all individuals. But I never go to God in a judgmental, harsh, in-your-face kind of questions. But I do question God sometimes, and it's really just to learn more. It's never out of disrespect, and he understands that. I feel that he does. I have never felt that I couldn't go to God and ask him questions. I mean, I can go to my earthly father and ask him questions, and he doesn't get mad. He may just tell me he's not going to answer it, or he may give me an answer that I still don't understand, and then I have to go ponder and then maybe go back and ask another question or whatever. I just feel that God does not mind that. Again, just my belief and my opinion. You have yours, and you know how God deals with you. But there have been times when I have envied the gentle spirit, where she says, I envy them of their gentle spirit, Lord. I envy them of their peaceful path they follow across the meadow of their faith. I don't want to stray. I don't want dogs and devils nipping at my heels. Y'all, she just described me. She just described me where I used to be. I would look at my son, my daughter, and they just were living for the Lord and just walking in just peace with him. And you look at somebody like that, and it is hard not to envy that for me. I envy them that the peaceful path they follow across the meadows. You know, he was born into it. It was just his way of life. He just accepted it, and he's just went with it. Now, his path hasn't always been easy. There's been a lot of trials and things that he's had to learn from, but he didn't do like me. Run wild and crazy. Act a fool. Show out. Just totally want no part of God. And would go to sleep crying at night knowing that if God chose that night to come back, that I would go to a devil's hell. I was one of those that he had to chase and herd back. And I'm so glad he did. I'm so glad he did. I'm so glad he didn't give up on me. I'm so thankful. He's such a great father, y'all. He's such a great father. And if maybe you're one of the Mavericks and that you've strayed and he's had to chase and herd you back, you're not alone. And if you're one of those that was just born into it and that's the way it's been your whole life, and wonderful. And there's a place for all of us, and there's something he can do in all of us. The very fact that we're here supporting one another, wanting the encouragement, feasting on the words, says there's still something we can do, and he can use us. He can use the times that we just run wild, strayed, went down the wrong path. He can use our testimony to reach others, to let them know, hey, you're not alone. I've been where you've been, but look where I am now, and you can be here too. God's got you. I love y'all. I pray that you have a beautiful day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.